Baby baboon captured by hungry lioness. But what she did to the baby was amazing. But before we start, please take a moment to give this video a like, subscribe to Happy World, and hit the bell so you'll never miss these great stories. The laws of nature are absolute. Predators must feed, and as a result, some of the little guys don't make it. But this wasn't the case for one baboon infant. One day out in the savannah, a lioness stalked his mother, but when she laid eyes on him, the unthinkable happened. No one knew what the fate of the infant would be, and one photographer was present to witness the whole ordeal unfold. Professional photographer Evan Schiller and his wife Lisa Holsworth went out for a game drive one day. Evan wanted to see if he could spot something worth capturing, but he never bargained on what he would see that day. In a fortuitous moment, the pair came across something incredible, but the perfect photo shoot would quickly turn into a dark afternoon for husband and wife, and it all began with one lioness. On their excursion, Evan was thrilled when he came across one natural beauty. He'd seen a lion. Determined to track her and make her his photo subject, he set after her and silently waited. He and Lisa could not believe their luck. This was the opportunity of a lifetime. They were only within a few feet of the lioness. As if things couldn't get better, the lioness then took a stance Evan only knew too well. The lioness crouched and began to stalk. Evan's heart was racing. He couldn't believe his luck. Today he'd be able to capture his first kill from start to finish. Stealthily, the lioness crept forward. At times, Evan thought he'd lost her. She blended in so well with the grass. You could cut the tension in the air with a knife. Evan was playing witness to one of the most praised hunters take down her prey, and then she lurched forward. Suddenly, it was all a blur. A snarl was heard with a flash of fur. But what chilled Evan's blood was the screech that erupted from the prey. In 1 second, the baboon was gone. It was gut-wrenching to watch. Harder than Evan had imagined, but he managed to capture the whole thing. He understood that this was how things were out there. But one thing would make him question his acceptance. Evan was familiar with the bush. Being a photographer, he and his wife were often out and about. They both knew the circle of life. He thought he'd accepted it, until he'd seen it firsthand. Still, he knew he had some incredible shots. He was thrilled at the opportunity to capture the hunt. He began to flip through his photos, but as he did, he noticed something heart-wrenching. Clicking to the lifeless baboon hung a baby. The tiny creature clutched onto its mother for dear life. Evan drew a heavy breath when he saw this. When he showed his wife, she let out a sob. They couldn't believe the cruel fate that lay before them. The tiny baboon looked to be no older than a month or two. When the pair looked up to the scene ahead, something made them cheer. Out of nowhere, the little baby made a run for it. Evan and Lisa whooped for joy at the sight. Even though they understood the principles of nature, they were still rooting for the infant. The lioness seemed completely taken aback. Suddenly, her prey began to move, and off ran a part of it. Perplexed, she followed the baby baboon. But something about the lioness had changed. She was now different. In a mad dash, the baby made a beeline for the first tree in sight. He did his best to clamber up, but for some reason he just couldn't get a grip. It was agony watching the baby's ordeal, Evan shared. He and his wife could almost feel the desperation in its spirit. But as nature would have it, it just happened to be his time. Languidly, the lioness closed in. As though taunting the baboon, the lioness strolled towards him. She didn't crouch nor stalk him like she had with his mother. Instead, she calmly approached the tree and watched him. For a while, she observed the baby. He was going nuts at the close proximity of the predator. Surely this was it for the little guy. Evan could barely watch. Then the lioness raised her paw, and Evan sat with bated breath. The lioness took everyone by surprise. In one swipe, she gently lifted the baboon up. She passed the infant into her mouth and wandered off away from the mother's carcass. For what seemed like a lifetime, the lioness sat with the baby. Patiently, she kept him between her paws. It was as though she felt remorse for killing his mom. But Evan was waiting for the worst. And then it appeared. Out of nowhere, other lions appeared. A male and another female came close to the lioness, but she would have none of it. At the male's first advance, she bared her teeth protectively. Evan couldn't believe what he was witnessing. One lion fighting another for a baboon? It was remarkable. Quickly, Evan began to snap away. But at this moment, another visitor showed up, one the lioness had not expected. Quickly from a surrounding tree, a large male baboon descended. It appeared he was watching the whole ordeal unfold, and when the lioness had left the baby, he seized the opportunity. He ran and grabbed the youngling before she could return. Quickly, he disappeared back into the trees. The baby was safe once more. Evan and Lisa were relieved, but above that, Evan was thrilled at the footage he captured. Evan couldn't believe his luck. Talk about being in the right place at the right time. When he released the images, they were met with great appreciation. The public was completely humbled by the series of photos. Evan had captured one of the most moving scenes to ever unfold in the wild. But one person was deeply moved by the whole experience: Evan's wife, Lisa. And what she shared of her experience was phenomenal. "The young baboon remains an inspiration to me," she shared to National Geographic. "A reminder that life is fragile, and no matter how much we fight to control its outcome, all we can do is live in the moment." Words to live by indeed. That lioness goes to show that nature isn't always necessarily cruel. As for Evan, he doubts whether he'll ever capture another scene like that. But perhaps one is enough.